Okay, so you're just gonna look right at me and ignore the camera.
Okay, okay.
And I want to start off by asking you to tell me about a time, or many times, when you just had uncontrollable laughter.
Oh, goodness.
It was contagious and you couldn't stop, just tell me about something like that.
I have no idea what to recall, tell you the truth.
We can take
Oh,
our time.
well, does it have to be about a person or something like that?
No, you know what?
Well, what I mean,
Just a time where some experience or something and you were just laughing so hard you couldn't stop.
well, I hate to talk about my husband, but
Oh,
he had gone to the eye doctor, and he come home with some glasses. He says, "Ma," he said, "it looks like I'm not even looking through a glass." And he put his finger there, and there was no lens in it, and we thought that was hysterical. And then one time, brushing his teeth, and a little bit of blood. "Oh, you got a pink toothbrush?" "No, it's a green. I just bought it." So that, what else? The kids used to make me laugh, but I can't remember what about. So, I have
but when he it turned out he didn't have any lens.
no lens in. It was just the frames to see how they looked, And then he put his finger there, and there was nothing there. But that.
So you guys laughed pretty hard?
Oh yeah, we thought it was comical, but of course he didn't.
So you were laughing?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know. Of course, when we went out to the dances and that, they pull jokes, tell stories. But outside of that, I really can't say. Because if I could, they wouldn't be very nice.
Oh, that sounds more interesting. I want to hear these stories.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you would. Oh, but anyway, we used to have good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Any funny stories with your sisters, maybe, where you were laughing uncontrollably?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I can't really recall, I wouldn't laugh at her, but my twin, always griping about her hair not being nice. They're always fixing theirs, but they won't do anything with me. And one time she went to the neighbor, and she wanted it bleached out. She was a blonde, but she wanted it and they put Clorox on it, and it turned orange, and that was comical. And then no way to get it out, So she had orange hair for a while. See what happens to you when you want to be beautiful? She was always more fancy than me, so.
Well, how did she react?
Well, mad. That's all I can say. She was irritated. But yeah. And I really don't know.
Well, if you think of any more instances where you were just filled with so much laughter, you can just jump in anytime.
Oh.
But let's start at the beginning, and just tell me, when were you born and who are your parents?
When I was born was May the 9th, 1922. So I'm 89, and my parents were Joseph and Agnes Picklemeyer. See? And they were born in Voitsburg, Austria. And they came here to the United States. I can't remember exactly when. I had all the data. Your dad probably knows more than I do about that. But he was a coal miner, and she was just a housewife, didn't work or anything like that. And we stayed here until I was, I guess, 6 in Frontenac. And he decided he'd go to Colorado, see if make more money out there in the coal mines. And we were out there for about 2 years. He got killed in the mine, putting up timbers, and one fell on him and it broke his neck and he died. So their mom was with us three little ones. You know, we weren't even 8, about 7.5, and Josephine would have been about 9 or 10. And so then she decided, well, she'd have to come back to Frontenac. So we came back here on the train. And then she went into selling beer and chicken dinners. And she worked at the school, but they didn't have money to pay them. They would give them scripts or whatever they called them, and they were no good, couldn't cash them anywhere. And that's about it, I guess, for her. So.
Well, here, tell me what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memories, oh my goodness. Oh, my dad used to like his drinks, and he'd walk down the street throwing money out to the kids, you know, and this and that. And he was kind of strict with us, and so we didn't have too easy of a life. He had a temper too, so. And Mom would shield us, take us over to the neighbors to get away from him and that. So, but yeah.
Do you have any happy memories with him?
With him? Oh, well, yeah, he was joyful too. But
tell me about that.
well, I'm trying to think, but it's
It's okay. We can
yeah. Well,
take our time.
he loved to play the accordion and that, so he was good at the accordion. And I think your dad tries to play the accordion too. So, what else did he used to do? But he wasn't always mean. I don't mean that. You know what I mean? He had his nice days too. So.
Why don't we focus on some really nice memories?
Well, I'm trying to think, honey.
That's okay. I'll let you.
Yeah, you know, so long ago.
I know.
you,
89.
yeah, your memory kind of disappears, you know. But, well, the nicest memories. Well, I guess when we'd go on a visit and somebody or that, go out in a Model T car and that, you know, and then in Colorado around the mountains, him driving and having a few drinks in him. You know, that was a lot of fun, boy, then. But,
Well, what was that like? Were you scared? Tell me about that.
yeah, right. We sure were going about it, and Mom didn't know how to drive, and we didn't know nothing about a car. They were old Model Ts, you know. Yeah, and have to get out and crank them to go. But he liked his good time, yeah. That's all I can say, really. But
You have any one special moment with your dad, or?
I think Josephine, the older sister, was more with him, and we were with Mom more, you know. So I can't really say. You know, kind of young to remember it anyway. So telling tales on him the way it is, which I shouldn't, but I am. Oh yeah.
How about you tell me more about your mom?
Mom, well, she was 35 when we were born. I think she was 30 when we were born. Because the doctor told her she'd never have kids. And she was married 15 years before she had her first child. And then that was Josephine. And then she had I and Alice about 2.5 years later. And then they adopted a boy. He was 12 years old when they adopted him, though. They had him before we were born. Yeah, because his mother died during the flu around here. They had that flu epidemic, and she died there, and there was 3 or 4 brothers and a sister, and they were all taken into different families.
What was his name?
Charles, that's who Charles is named after, your dad, and he was fairly nice looking. And then he had a brother that lived in Radley, close to where my husband was born. And then they all went to Oklahoma, him and Charles, my brother. And I think he had worked on cars and that, as far as I can remember. So,
So tell me
and
more.
he
I don't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, and then when he'd come home, he always wanted Mom to make him dumplings, you know, and that for to eat, and he liked them real well. So, and he had a roadster with a rumble seat in it at those times, and he came out to Colorado to visit us and take us around the mountains and all that. And it started to rain. Well, the rumble seat has no cover over it, so they just closed the seat up, you know, pulled the lid down or whatever they want to call them then. And that's how we had to ride then till we got home with the lid down in the car. So, and I really don't know too much, you know what I mean, about him.
Yeah.
So,
But what about your mom? Tell me more about your mom. What was she like?
oh, she was on the short and a little heavy, and she was a joyful woman. You know, she liked the jokes and that, joke around. And she was a hard worker. She had to do most of the gardening and all this and that. And so then when I got older, I helped her. And Josephine was more with Dad. Wherever he went, she went with him. And Alice, I don't know what she did, but that's a regular childhood, you know what I mean? Some good, some bad, so that's the way it went. So.
You say your mom joked around. How would she joke around?
How she would?
How would your mom joke around?
Well, just tell stories or something, you know what I mean? Just like that. So I can't remember any of them, though, to tell you the truth.
Do you remember how it made you feel to hear them?
How, hon?
How did it make you feel to hear her stories, her funny stories?
Oh, well, we'd just laugh, you know what I mean? And when she was a kid, see, she was an orphan. Her mother got killed by lightning. Yeah, see, and then she was taken in by different families, her aunts or whatever, and then that didn't work out too good. So, and she had a brother that was killed during the war, and that's the only two I know of, really, or have heard about. So, and then I guess she met Dad, and they got married. So then they came here, and to Frontenac, and that's where we stayed. And then went to Colorado for 2 years, and then after he got killed, we came back here, Mom and us 3 girls, and lived in the house now where Mary Ann on that corner, you know. And she, like I said, she went selling beer and had chicken dinners and that, and served chicken dinners and that, so.
Do you have like a special memory with your mom?
Oh, yeah, I was with her all the time, helping her in the garden or this or that, you know. But, it's really, I can't think of really any special one, but she liked us all, but I was more with her than the others, I'll say that. So that's about all I can tell you about her. For now, anyway, that I can think of.
If anything comes back to you later on,
Yeah.
feel free to jump in and
Yeah.
let it out.
Well, I told you she already tried to work at the school and that. And it didn't pan out, so she raised us 3 girls by herself. So,
She's still
and we all had our high school education. And the older sister went to beauty college, but she didn't like working on people's hair, you know, so she dropped that. And she did housework then for people, you know, like Lindbergh's in Pittsburgh. They had a drugstore. She worked for them. And other families, I don't know. That's the only family I knew she worked for, really. So.
Well, let's go back. Let's stay in childhood just for a little bit longer. Tell me what you used to play.
Oh, we used to play tag and hide and go seek and throw the ball over the buildings or that, you know what I mean? And uh, leap the frog. Kids now don't even know what we're talking about. Or marbles, all those kid games, you know. And then the Halloween, we'd go around, knock on doors, and then run, or soap a window sometime. One time we was down in the field pulling the corn stalks, and the neighbor knew we was there, so he got the gun out and shot it up in the air and scared us. So we all ran home. Yeah, he lived right across from where Mary Ann lives now. Yeah. So that was the end of that, you know. But anyway, we had fun in our days, not like now. Or play colors, you know, you'd have a certain color and you had to run. And if they tag you or this or that, so yeah, just all kids. My kids don't know what we're talking about, really.
You have to teach them.
Huh?
But they'll learn about that on this video, and they're gonna.
Yeah.
They'll learn all about it, and now they'll play tag and
Yeah,
leapfrog.
yeah, and leapfrog and all that. So, and what else? Oh, play ball naturally. But and I used to like to collect movie stars' pictures and paper dolls, you know, and all that. And I had the adopted brother made us each a chest, and I had that full of my stuff, and it disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. And then I used to belong to the Cream of Wheat Club and all that kind of stuff. And outside of that, not too much, you know.
Right.
Just school things is all.
Yeah, and so you have your twin sister Alice.
Yeah.
You must have had a special bond with her.
Oh, yeah, right. But she liked to fix up more than I did, you know. She was a fancy one in the family. And everything had to be just so, you know. But, yeah, she died then. How old was she? 60 or something like that, I guess. Maybe older than that. But, and she was one like the money. And she'd go sell different things, you know, like, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the companies she'd work for. Or if we had chances at school to sell, boy, she would make sure she was number one in selling them and this and that. She always had to be first, you know. So that's how it was.
So you kind of had a competitive relationship.
Yeah, right. For me, I didn't go for that stuff, you know. So I was always the drawback. I didn't, no. Let her go ahead and do it. I didn't care. No, that was about it. And
what did you and Alice used to do together? I mean, being twins, you must have.
oh, well, we just talked about different things. That's all, you know what I mean, and that. And she'd get mad, and then she'd get glad, so whatever, so.
So are you saying Alice was maybe a little moody, or?
Uh-huh.
Alice was a little moody, and you.
Yeah,
were
yeah.
All right.
She was moody, yeah, right. But she had to be first, you know. And she was particular about how she looked and wanted to be fancy, so that was all right. I was just plain old me, so. Anyway, that's the way it went.
What were you like when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I don't really know what I was like, truthfully. I just fell in with the bunch, I guess. That's all I can say, you know, play games and that, so. And I was more a mama girl, you know, so, yeah. And Josephine was dad, and Alice was Alice's girl. No, Alice was for Alice, so I shouldn't talk about her now, but that's what it was, so.
I know you love her.
Oh, naturally, you know,
Yeah,
so.
tell me about how much you love your twin.
Oh, immensely, really, you know what I mean. We were more or less always together, you know, so, and then when she left, well, that was hard for me to take, so, because we were always really always together when we were little, you know. So that's the way it was. So you got a different bond, really, you know, when you're a twin than just like sister. Yeah. So.
Is there anything else you want to tell me? A special memory with Alice?
With Alice? Oh goodness. I can't really. There would be special memory. Not that she wanted to be it, you know what I mean.
But a happy memory.
A happy memory.
Be careful with the microphone cable. It's fragile. It's all.
Yeah. Okay. Happy memory. Oh dear. Well, we used to play a lot together and that, you know, but for really a happy memory, I can't really recall that. They were all happy when we were kids, I guess. So that's all I can say, you know.
Well, tell me about your relationship with Josephine.
Josephine? Well, she was the older one, so she was the boss. Not the boss, but anyway. But she was, like I said, more with Dad than with us. So, and she was kind of, what do I want to say? Not bossy, but be in control of some. Yeah, she had to be in control more or less of stuff. So, yeah. But we got along. She worked, and some money she had, she bought us each a dress. So, and whatever shared whatever she had with us. You know what I mean? So, but she was older, you know, and we used to be jealous of her because when she could go out on a date and we couldn't, you know, and she went to school in Pittsburgh for a few years, and then came back to Frontenac. But yeah, we got along fine. Yeah, I and her more so than I think Alice and I, you know. So, and everybody said we look more like twins than Alice and I did, you know, because our stature and hair color and that. So, yeah. But all in all, they were my sisters,
Yeah.
you know.
You have a special memory with Josephine that you'd like to share? Just a happy, special memory that you have with her?
With Josephine? Oh dear. I really don't know. Time has erased a lot of memories, I'll tell you, but there had to be some. Oh, well, they weren't happy, but they were kind of funny. She used to drive a car. She knew how to drive, and so she had somebody's car and was driving it. And we went to arm, and she turned a corner and clipped somebody's fender or something, you know. And we was piled one on the other, and I was on the bottom. Well, I was the first one out of the car, you know, so I wouldn't get in trouble. But that one of them, she used to fix our hair a lot because when she went to cosmetology school, and she always fixed mine in French braids because I had long hair, which I loved. And like I say, just sisters, plain old sisters, you know. You're not getting much of an interview, I know, but.
No, I want to spend time on each of these elements and learn everything.
Yeah.
Tell me about Charles.
Charles was adopted, I think, when he was 12.
Your relationship with Charles.
Well, really, see, he was about 14 years older than I was when he was adopted, so there wasn't much really. And he used to run around with the Benellis in Pittsburgh, those Charlie Benelli and them that had the jewelry store and that. And then eventually he landed up in Oklahoma, Tulsa, and he had an auto shop or something like that, mechanic, you know, and that. And he drove the old Model T then. I guess you called them Model Ts yet. And that. And then he married a girl from Mulberry. She was really a pretty woman. But she was sophisticated, you know, more so than we were. So she had him change her name from Pickemeyer to Franks. See, make it more modern. So, because that was his family name, see. So that's what they did then, changed it to Franks. So, but we got along all right. But like I say, he always liked Mom's dumplings and that. You know, when he come home, no matter what time at night, he'd tell her he wanted dumplings. So that was it. And then when we lived in Colorado, they came to visit us, and we had a dog, and we had it tied to the clothesline. And at them days, you had the outside toilet. And every time that Charlie's wife would go to the toilet or bathroom, which I say, that dog wouldn't let her. That dog didn't take a liking to her at all. And that was comical, you know, so. But anyway, she must have done something to it to begin with. I don't know. But he didn't want her going near that toilet. So.
How'd she manage to navigate that situation?
Yeah, she'd manage it, but yeah. I don't know if she'd call Charles or what, but she'd get in there. Or walk her to there, you know, so, yeah. But she, sophisticated more than, you know, and high tune, so, than we were, so.
Who was your favorite movie star?
Oh my goodness, Dick Powell for one, years back. And the woman, it used to be Greta, I was going to say Greta Garbo, but then there was another one I liked. Oh dear, because I always wanted to be her when we played, and I can't remember her name now. I think she was a redhead too. Not Lucille Ball, but another one, but I just can't think of her name now. Isn't that terrible? But Greta Garbo, yeah, and Dick Powell, oh yeah, God. I thought he was all it then. That was years ago. And I'm trying to think of the other movie star, the woman. Because no matter what it was, when we played, I always wanted to be her. But I can't think of her name now. So we'll just say it was Greta Garbo.
So now when you say when you played, do you mean that you and your sister or sisters used to pretend like you were movie stars?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Oh, well, no, not pretend we were movie stars, but just, you know, say we were them and that was all. Just play their natural game, you know.
Well, tell me more about this game. How did it work?
Well, it didn't really work, you know what I mean? You just made it work. Let's see, how did it go?
Well, I mean, did you walk around and act like you were?
Well, yeah, you know, you had to dress up a little bit in old clothes and this and that, and act like you were a movie star and this and that like they did. So that was about it, you know, you can imagine. But we had a shanty, and a shed, I guess you'd call them. And we'd play out there in the shed, you know, and do our acting and that, so. That was it, dear. You know, we didn't have all these toys they have now, you know. And when Christmas came, if you had one toy, you were doing good, see, so.
What was your favorite toy?
A doll. Yeah, we had, in fact, I've got my last doll yet, yeah. It's, golly, I was about 7, I guess, when I got it, so it has to be 82 years old anyway, yeah.
You know where it is?
Yeah, my oldest daughter has it. And the girl said give it to her, so that's what we did. And then Joanne has her dad's rocker, so they're about the same age. The rocker and the doll were about the same age, see. And the twins, I don't know what they're going to end up with, so. Not much left for them to get anyway, so. But
What kind did you listen to when you were a teenager?
At school?
No. When you were a teen, when you were growing up, what kind of music did you like?
Oh gosh, you wouldn't even know what it was, I don't think. Kind of music. I don't know.
Did you like music, or you listened to a
Yeah,
lot of music?
yeah, Mom gave us piano lessons and never learned anything. I don't know, we had several different teachers, but never learned a thing. And, oh, I don't know what the songs then that were popular in my day. That's a long time ago.
What did you read books? Did you have a favorite book?
I didn't read much. Never did. No. Played more with the dolls and that, or embroidery and stuff like that. But never read much at all, and still don't. So that was it. So and we played jacks or something, and like that. And I like to climb trees. I was a tomboy, And Mom used to give me heck, and she'd make me get down from one, because them days they used to butcher their pigs, the hogs, and they had that a bar across, a post, a pole, and I'd go up there and do tricks, and I fell one time and knocked myself out, and boy, did I get a whipping, I tell you, because she told me not to go up there anymore, and I did. And then one time I climbed in the front yard, a big elm tree we had, and fell out of it. Well, the same thing happened, and everybody said, boy, she's the meanest woman in Frontenac, because she gave me a whipping after that, so. But I still like my trees. Oh, yeah.
That's great. So, moving on, tell me about your dating life.
Oh, my dating life. Well, it wasn't too much. I had several beaux, but they didn't mean nothing, And then I went to Radley one time with Alice. We walked to Radley, about 5 miles from here, on the railroad track, that railroad we used to have. And went to visit a school chum that lived there. And then I saw him. His folks had a store, and there was a store right across from his folks' house. And we go there with the girl we were visiting, and that's how I saw him, there, and he saw me and that. And then that night we went to the fair, and met him, and he talked me into going to one of the shows there, Cowboys or whatever it was, and buy me a Coke. Well, he had ended up, he'd spent his money before on somebody else, and he just had enough for the Coke because the show was free. You could just walk in there, see. So then after that, about 14 months after, we were married. So we'd go to the shows, to the Cozy at the Nickel. On Thursdays, they were a nickel, and that. We'd go there, and his enjoyment was, in the winter when it was icy on the roads and that, to go around the corner fast, so he fishtail. And to this day, I blame him for me being scared of sliding like that. So, yeah, and then he'd stop after the show and we'd get hamburgers, 6 for a quarter at that time. And the grill's still there, I think on 10th Street or whatever. It isn't open now, it isn't a grill anymore. But we used to stop in there. And then go to the dances like in Corona and the Gay Parida. And there were several dances in Radley, dance halls and that. And then in Camp 50, and that's where his old girlfriend lived. So when we went to there, I'd do everything I could to make her jealous. See? Well, you just borrow somebody's ring and act like it was mine, a diamond or something, and just foolish stuff like that. how kids are. So, yeah, but yeah, we got married too young, really, 18 and 19. So that was young, you know. Yeah, and then
What's his, Nip, but what's his name? Do you
Aldo.
have it? What is,
Aldo, ALDO, was Aldo Joseph. Yeah, Aldo Joe.
I always knew.
Just Nip. That's all I call him too, to this day. You know, Nip, Nip. You know. Uh huh.
So where did you get that nickname?
His brothers gave him that. Yeah. They used to call him Napoleon because he always stood like this, you know, and then they shortened it to Nip, and even they call him that. That was his name all these years that I've known him. So, yeah, we were married about 53 years, so it's still Nip to me, you know. So,
Well, let's backtrack.
uh-huh,
So when you first met him,
uh-huh.
what did you think? What was your impression?
Well, he was tall, he had those green eyes, you know, and we thought he was pretty good looking and that, you know, how we girls are. So anyway, yeah, then after 14 months he asked me to marry him. And he said, "You're never going to work." So, okay. We got married and then we stayed with his folks for a while. Then we lived in a house in Radley, rented it, a furnished house. And then he just worked, didn't have very good jobs either. And then he worked like at a gas station, in an auto body shop, car, you know, body shop. And then we're out Hollandale, and he used to drive the big truck. And they butchered and that there, you know, and he worked in the inside too, helping with that. And then he finally got on at McNally's, and we rented a house in Pittsburgh. Stayed there 1 month because his pay wasn't very good. Took that all for the rent. And then the next month we had, you know. So then we moved in with Alice and George, my sister, in Frontenac. Lived with them for a while. And then well, 2 different places we lived with them. Then he had to go to the service. And he was in the Signal Corps. And then I went back to Radley. 'Cause then Agnes Marie was born a month after he left, I think. Yeah. She was born, yeah, and then he came home. He didn't see her till she was 3 days old, you know. And then he came home, and we lived in Radley then for a while, and then we got the house in Frontenac and remodeled it, and it was there for 66 years. Well, I was, you know, for 66 years. And he was in the Signal Corps, like I said. And he was in Camp Robinson in Arkansas and in Camp Blanding in Florida. But he didn't serve very long, you know, less than a year, because he had hay fever so bad. And in Florida, see, that really worked on him. So they said, "We can't use you here," so they discharged him. So that was that for him. So.
But he was never so glad to have hay fever, huh?
Yeah.
Tell
But
me about your wedding.
well, simple. We got married in Joplin at a Justice of Peace on, oh gosh, now I can't even think of the street, Pearl Street. But I can't think of the name of the justice. Yeah.
Tell me your whole family, how did they react?
Oh, okay. And we went to live with his folks for a while, like I said, you know. So, and finally we got our own home and remodeled it. It was an old shack, practically. And remodeled it and was there all this time. So after 66 years, I had to leave it. So I didn't think I had to, but the girls did. And I said I didn't realize how bad off I was till I got here. They say, "Yeah, falling down and this and that, and you were all right," you know, because I'd fell times they didn't know of. I wouldn't tell them.
You just did. You just told them.
Yeah, now they know. Yeah, the reason they found out, I had fell and I was trying to get to the telephone in the front room to call your dad to come up, you know. And I had a machine, just like I got a thing I wear here. If I need help, push the, but I never used it. So anyway, this day, Janice walked in. What you doing on the floor? I said, oh, trying to get to the phone. And then she pushed the button, see, and then they come down the medical and that, and wanted to know if I was hurt or this or that. But that's the only time I ever used it, you know. They don't know the times I fell, really. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they can hear. I know it.
But backtracking, trying to go in order a little bit. I want to know about how did you feel when you were getting married? Do you remember the feeling?
No, not real. Just I do, and that was it. You know what I mean? A justice of peace. You don't go through all that fancy stuff.
No, it doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah, right.
The
You know.
feeling that you were going to be.
Yeah,
with them.
right. And it was cold. It was in December, and Alice and George stood for us. And then after we got married, we went to my mom's house, and she had a dinner ready for us. And then after we went to Radley, and we went to the show that night, and took a friend with us, my girlfriend, to the show with us.
You took a girlfriend to the honeymoon.
Yeah, on the honeymoon. So we never did have a honeymoon anyway, but we made quite a few trips in our lifetime, so that made up for it. So, yeah.
Tell me about how much you love Nick.
Oh, well, you know, you have your ups and downs. That's natural. So, but I don't think I'd want anybody else, truthfully, other than him, you know. I never did think of that after I got married, so. But
Tell me about him. Tell me what you loved about him.
well, he was tall. He had those green eyes, you know, and curly hair, and he seemed so mature for his age and that, you know. And I don't know, just Mom liked him and that, so I guess that was the main thing then. So.
But then as you grew together, what did you have in common? What did you...
What would we have in common? He liked to dance, and I wasn't a very good dancer, so, but we went to the dances and that, and did the show, and outside of that, you know, but not much else, really.
But it worked?
It worked, yeah, almost 53 years,
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids threw our 50th anniversary party, you know, so we had our celebration anyway, so.
Well, tell me about your firstborn.
My firstborn?
Yeah, tell me about the feeling about having your first child. What was that?
Oh, well, that was a surprise, really. Wasn't expecting anything, but yeah, she was born, and then, like I said, he didn't see her till she was 3 days old. He had a hitch a ride from Florida to come home. You know, he had enough fare for so far, and then from Fort Scott he had a hitchhiker ride home to Frontenac to the hospital, and he came in late at night, and the sisters at that time wouldn't let him in, and he said, I'm going in there, and he did, you know. And then I got to come home, and then to Mom's house, my mom's. And then I don't know how long he was home, not too long, and then he had to go back. And then I went back to live with his folks again till he come home, so that was it, so. Oh yeah, he was happy, and then we had Joanne, you know, about 4 years after her, and she was much smaller, and she was a tomboy. She liked to be outside with her dad and help him, and Agnes Marie was prissy, you know, like her grandma in Radley. She didn't want to get dirty. I'd starch her clothes in those days, and she wouldn't sit down because she'd wrinkle it. And Joanne, the dirtier she got, the better she liked it, you know. And then along came the twins 9 years later, so that was a surprise. And the doctor didn't even know. Those days we didn't have the sonograms or that. He says, you're going to have a big lad, you know. Well, it turned out to be two little peanuts. So when they told her, Nip, the dad, that there's another one, he said, I hope it's a girl. Well, he got his wish, so he had his 4 daughters anyway. So, yeah, loved them all. So.
Tell me about each one specifically.
Each one, well, Agnes Marie was more studious, you know what I mean, and particular the way she looked and this and that. And she didn't go out much. Now, Joanne was just the opposite. She liked to go out and have a good time. And she did good in school. They were both valedictorians and that. And the twins, well, they were in the same room. Well, naturally, the sister compared them, you know. Well, why can't you spell like your sister does? Or why can't you write like your sister does? Everything, you know, comparison. Because in the bigger schools, they separate them, you know. They don't have them in the same class. But these schools were small. So, but they all were fairly good students and that, so. And they all went to college. And Agnes Marie taught 40 years, Joanne 36. Now, Janice teaches those, oh, did I tell you they were? Hard to learn, or you know what I mean? I can never really think of what to call them. They were, anyway, they were special ed, yeah. She taught that, she still teaches it. And then Janet's a nurse, and that's what her dad wanted, somebody to be a nurse, so she turned out to be the nurse. Not that I wanted it to be, but that's what Dad wanted, so that's why I became a nurse. So she's still nursing. So she's in Indiana, and the others are in Kansas City way, so.
She loves nursing now, though?
Huh? Oh, well, she takes care of the women now. She's a gynecologist or whatever they want to call them, something like that, yeah. She just does that. She works for a doctor's office, you know. She did work in the hospital, but she wasn't too fond of that, so.
So each one of your daughters, tell me a special memory that you have with each one of them.
Oh, with Agnes Marie, her dad worked at night then, and we'd lay in bed together and we'd sing songs or say little prayers, you know, teach her prayers and this and that, and she loved to iron. And them days we didn't have these modern conveniences, and we had to hang the clothes outside, and couldn't wait till they dried so she could go iron them. And Joanne was more her daddy's girl. She helped him, you know, with the outside work and whatever he was doing, she was right with him. And Janice was the cleaner. She liked to clean the house, you know, and all that, and Janet was our baker. She liked to bake, see? So I had everything was taken care of, see? I did the cooking, but they all did the other stuff, so they enjoyed it, so.
Well, tell me about the songs you would sing. What songs would you
Oh,
sing?
God, little songs, you know what I mean, like pumpkin eater had a wife and couldn't keep her, or something like that. Peter Piper had, I don't know, I can't remember. It's too long ago for me.
Yeah. Do you have a tender, special memory with your other 3 daughters? Besides the cleaning? And
Oh,
baking?
Joanne, she was smaller, much smaller than Agnes Marie. Agnes Marie was the biggest one, and she was she weighed 6'3". She was kind of peaked, you know what I mean, little, compared to Agnes Marie. And she was more feisty, yeah. But outside of that, I don't really remember too much.
I'm sure they remember.
Huh?
I'm sure they remember.
Oh, they remember
all the
more
things.
than I do,
Yeah.
truthfully. Yeah, right.
All the beautiful moments. That you
And
guys-
then the twins, well, you correct one, then you didn't know if you corrected the right one or not. And then they'd both scatter, and you didn't know which one to go after. They're a lot of fun. John and Karen will find out about that. You don't know which one to to get. But all in all, they turned out good, so no problems with them. So that's the main thing.
Just love them so much.
Yeah, right. So, and they take good care of me even now, you know. So, yeah, but and their dad loved them too a lot. So, and I know his grandkids and that, especially his great grandkids, he got to see all of his other ones, but not the great, ones. So he'd love them too. So.
Tell me about your grandchildren.
Oh my. Let's see. Sean was our firstborn, and naturally, everybody just fell in love with him. He's never had a baby in the family for so long, and he is a accountant up in Kansas City. And then who was the next one born? The twins, yeah. Brandy is a school teacher. What is she? Psychologist? A special thing she does. And Heather is a registered pharmacist. Yeah, doctor of pharmacy, she is. And Brandy must be a psychologist. I think that's what they call them. I don't know. And then who's the next one? Oh, Jason. He's a mechanical engineer, and he travels all around. They build stuff and that. Yeah, so they all have good jobs and that, and all are married but Sean and Brandy. I don't know what they're looking for, but they're not married. And Jason, they have a boy and a girl, and Heather has 2 girls. So.
Tell me what you love about each one of them.
Oh, well.
Something special that you.
The grandkids, you mean?
Yeah, or a special memory.
Yeah, well, yeah, just Jason.
Just something that's like just
Two-
between you and that.
Yeah, too many J's in the family. Sean, he was our first, so naturally we spoiled him, And he'd come to the house and stay with us and that. And he was good. He liked to play outside and that, and be with his granddad. And the twins, I taught them how to embroidery, which I don't know if they do now or not, but they did then. And they like to come to Grandma and Grandpa's, and Granddad they called him, and they liked that. And Jason, we didn't have him too much. He was more for Mama at home, yeah. But the other ones were all like to come to our house. And at one time I had all of them there at one time. That's a lot of fun. They all love me and that, so, and they're so attentive to me, so that can't ask for more. Remember a time Brandy fell off the back steps, come running out of the back door, and just down the steps. And that she didn't get hurt. That was one good thing. Nothing broke. So.
Did they ever break anything?
No. Not at our house, anyway.
Did you and Nip play with them?
Oh yeah, he all the time.
Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
and the neighborhood kids too. He'd play ball with them or different games, and like at Easter time, hide the eggs and go find them, But he was always doing something with them, right? And, go fishing and that. So with the boys, I don't know about the girls if he took them fishing or not, but play ball with them and that, and they like to, each one. At home I had a chair, and one twin would sit on one arm and the other would sit on the other arm. Well, that was his delight, So.
What was your delight?
Them sitting by him all the time, those twin girls.
Yeah.
See, one on either side, so. Yeah.
Must have been fun times.
Fun times, oh dear.
Well, and crazy times. but
Well,
fun.
Christmas, Well, it was much different than when Agnes Marie. We had to take everything out to Radley to the folks, see, the presents and that. I never had a Christmas at home. But with her girls, she said it's not going to be that way. So they have their Christmas at home, you know. So they'd come home for Christmas to our house too, and that. But no, it makes a difference, you know, when you have to go just to one place at a certain time. Mom always had hers Christmas Eve, my mom. And we had to go out to Radley on Christmas Day, see, and take all their presents and that with us. So that wasn't too much fun for them. But outside of that, they'd all come home for Christmas, or we'd go up to their places, you know. So we shared our holidays. So. And now,
about the great-grandchildren.
oh dear, don't tell me. Let's see, Maddie was our first great-grandchild. She's where in the world is she up there? She's the one in pink with her arms up.
Yeah, I see her.
Yeah, the second row there, yeah. She was our first one. Naturally, everybody fell in love with her, you know, spoiled her and that. And then our second one was Lincoln over there, the little boy crawling on in the white top. And he's there's about a year difference in him. And then the third one was Avery. She's the one in the pink hat there reading the birthday card upside down. Yeah, that's Maddie's sister. Madison, her name really is. And then we had little Joey there in the blue cap, and he died when he was 2 months old. He had SIDS, or whatever you call it, yeah. And then the last one born was the little girl there, Elsie. She's about 10 months old, I guess, now. So that's them.
How does it feel? You're 89.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm here to see him, truthfully. I'm so glad I was, you know. So I often told the doctor, I said, well, I've had a good life and I don't care, I'm ready to go. Oh, he said, don't talk like that. I see why now, with all the family yet, you know, so. And I'm hoping one day Justin and Rebecca will have another one, but so we'll wait and see. But there's still, it hasn't been a year yet that he's been gone, you know, so it's still fresh in their memory, so yeah. His name's Joseph, but they were going to call him Joy because there were so many Josephs in the family, you know.
Was he named after your father?
Well, yeah, my father, and then Nip's middle name was Joseph, and then, I don't know, the different ones were named Joseph, and that was it.
Tell me what you want to say. Is there something you want to say to everybody? Or
What did he say to everybody? Just
individually or to everybody?
Well, I'm just going to say I'm happy that I got to see them all before I leave this world. So, and they're all been so good to me and that, and they're lovable. And I don't know which one I could say I like the more, because I like them all the same, you know.